Welcome to our channel. Here we read Bible stories written for children and adults alike. Our verse today is Ephesians 4:32, and be ye kind one to another. The rest of the verse says, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Christianity produces true courteousness or politeness. It does not make one rough, crabby, or sour. Christians should be holy and beloved, merciful and kind, having humbleness of mind, with meekness and long-suffering, according to Colossians 3:12. Tender-hearted means compassionate, and especially showing kindness to those who are mean to us. How has God forgiven you? Number one, He's forgiven us freely. And number two, He has forgiven us fully. He has forgiven every sin. Our story today is called The Lost Brother Found, taken from Genesis 43 to 45. When the food brought from Egypt had nearly all been used, Jacob said one day to his sons, "Go again to Egypt and buy us more food." But Judah said to him, "Father, the man who sold us the food said he would have nothing more to do with us unless we brought our youngest brother with us. If you would let Benjamin go with us, then we will go to Egypt for food. Otherwise, we cannot." To make sure that his beloved Benjamin came back and that the Egyptian ruler remained friendly, Jacob sent back the money his sons had found in their wheat sacks, and also some gifts for the man, honey and almonds and other nuts and spices. So once more, the little party came to the place in Egypt where food was sold. Joseph saw them arrive, but he did not pay attention to them. Instead, he sent his steward, the man in charge of his home, to them, to take them there and to get ready a great feast so that Joseph could entertain them at noon. When the steward led them away, they were all very much afraid. They thought that Joseph would make them all his slaves. In their fear, they cried to tell the steward all about the money, but he only smiled and told them not to be afraid. The truth was that their God was blessing them. What a surprise they must have had, too, when he told them that he had himself put their money into their wheat sacks. Into Joseph's great house he led them and gave them water to wash their tired and dirty feet. He even saw to it that their pack asses were given food. After that, they had quietly to wait until Joseph came back. You can imagine how nervous they were. What could possibly be happening? When Joseph came home, they all bowed low before him, exactly as the dreams long ago had foretold. And then they handed him the presents they had brought. Joseph was very friendly, but he said not a word about being their brother. All he did was to ask how they were and how their father was. Then he looked across at his own brother Benjamin and asked if this was the youngest brother they had told him about. For Benjamin he prayed, saying, "God, be gracious unto you, my son." But then his feelings overcame him. Quickly he went to his own room and wept. Then he washed his face and went back to his visitors and gave orders that the feast should begin. Since the Egyptians would not allow the Hebrews to eat with them, the guests celebrated the feast in two groups. The brothers were surprised by one thing, though. They were arranged at the meal according to their ages, but they could not understand how the Egyptians knew in order which were older and which younger. Something strange happened, too. Joseph sent to Benjamin 5 times as much of the food as any of the others. Let's repeat our Bible verse. Ephesians 4:32, and be ye kind one to another. I'm going to ask a few questions now. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it, and then I'll reveal the answer. Number 1, what did Jacob do to be sure Benjamin would be allowed to return from Egypt? Jacob returned the money found in the wheat sacks and sent his son back to Egypt with gifts. Number 2, what surprising thing happened when the brothers got to Egypt on their second trip? Joseph was very friendly with them, and he found out that his steward had placed the money in their wheat sacks. And finally, number 3, what did Joseph do when he saw his brother Benjamin? He cried privately with joy. Even though Joseph's brothers treated him poorly, Joseph showed kindness to them. Joseph was forgiving and kind. The Bible says in 1 Peter 3:9, not rendering evil for evil, but contrariwise blessing. In our next story, we'll learn about the silver cup. I hope to see you next time.